Welcome back to the channel. Today's hands-on video, we're comparing the Why Were You Born booklet. This is an original printout. I didn't print out this is a reprint. It looks like it's the original, but it's not. This is actually a worldwide Church of God reprint. And I'd like you to notice this. Alright, right here we got original text by Herbert W. Armstrong. And when the years he lived and died are in brackets or parentheses, that means it's not the original and they changed it. So it says 1957 and 1972 Worldwide Church of God. That's the same years as this one. If you notice here, 1957 and 1972 Ambassador College. But this one was actually printed in 72. This one is a reprint, and who knows when it actually was printed, but it's registered as 1972. So what I did is I went through, and if you've noticed, you notice that all the things underlined in red are things that don't align with the original. So let's start at the beginning, and I just got to tell you before we get into the changes, the edits from the original to this Worldwide Church of God reprint. I'll tell you that the Worldwide Church of God, how they edited and reprinted Mr. Armstrong's books, the Worldwide Church of God makes the Philadelphia Church of God look like a bunch of Sunday school choir boys. Because all the Philadelphia church did was pull out one sentence from Mr. Armstrong's book. And as you'll see, the Worldwide Church of God did a whole lot more of that to Mr. Armstrong's book. So notice the original. Why Were You Born by Herbert W. Armstrong. Then we went over the copyright page. Alright, and now everything that is underlined in red has been changed from the original in this. So, alright, again, Why Were You Born? So even the front cover is changed. It even reads different. Notice the original. Is there any purpose for human life? Does life after all have real meaning? You have never realized. You need to know. The reprint, is there purpose for human life? Does life after all have real meaning? Here's the awesome truth. So the main changes I've noticed from the original and the reprint is a lot of times Mr. Armstrong would use all capital letters to emphasize things and put phrases in italics that again were changed and just made regular in this book. So you can tell they're different because this part is in the first page and yet this part is still on the title page. Now we come to, and this, I noticed this too, is when I first got it, it was ripped out. And I was thinking, oh man, what a bummer, but it don't matter because it's a reprint, it's a piece of crap. Alright, so, again, let's go through this. Alright, here. So we don't have any changes immediately, except right here. It says, yet biologists and the proponents of the evolutionary doctrine fail to show any definite purpose of the presence of the human family on this planet. Neither do they tell us why man as he is, possessing such awesome intellectual and production powers that he can fly to the moon and return safely, but at the same time is utterly helpless before the onslaught of this world's problems. Now compare that with the original. Yet, and in this part is where they yanked out the phrase in this one, biologists. See, it says, yet biologists and proponents. This one reads, yet, and then it would say biologists and proponents of the evolutionary doctrine cannot agree on any definite purpose for the presence of human family on this planet. Neither can they agree on why man is as he is, possessing such awesome intellect and productive powers, but at the same time being so utterly helpless before the onslaught of this world's problems, sufferings. So it's minute changes, and I'll tell you, reading this one, how I did it was I read a sentence in the original, and then I compared it with the reprint, and I was underlining, it seemed almost every verse, not verse, but paragraph, for sure every paragraph, every sentence almost. It suddenly has become imperative. So suddenly here is changed to it has now become imperative. I mean, see what I mean? They change things you don't even need to change. And the whole thing goes through the book. Next page on the original is, okay, so we got minute changes, italics in original, not in the reprint. Same with here. I think this one was all, like I say, man, this is just the original. And all of these underlined. Here is an instance where it's all in capitals, yet in the reprint, it's not in capitals. And again, that's, here we go. See, does it offer solutions? Solutions is all capitals in the original, and hope is too. Now you say, well, that's minute changes. Well, a little bit adds up to a much. Let's keep going, especially this part where they added this whole thing circled in green is actually the original that was pulled out. Notice the original, Elohim, a uniplural noun such as the word family, church, team, group. It means one God, but more than one person composing that one God. The reprint reads, Elohim, a noun, plural in form, but with either singular or plural usage. How is that possible? Oh, that's because 1989, Worldwide Church of God caved and claimed that the Trinity doctrine was true, and then they apologized on behalf of Mr. Armstrong and his error, supposedly. So that's why this is saying it can be either singular or plural in usage. I mean, they just did that to accommodate the wrong doctrines. All right, let's keep going in the original. And here, the parts I circled in blue, the green, they changed that, but this part is completely cut. So parts that were completely cut out of the reprint, here, I circled them in blue. So it says, there is no word in English which exactly renders the true meaning of Yahweh. Fenton translation renders it as ever living. And so if you look at the reprint, keeping these organized, this part in arrows, where the blue arrows, is where this section should be. All right. It's all right. Let's keep going now in the original. You can see there's the blue part that was cut. This whole part was being cut. Not only the subtitle, but this whole part. So let's read this since it's cut out. It must be important when they're butchering it. The late Prime Minister of Great Britain, Winston Churchill, actually gave the answer when he said before the American Congress, there is a purpose being worked out here below. Of course, he implied a higher power above doing the working out. But man, it fails, or seems, has failed to understand this. Yet the original, and this is the blueprint of earlier, that's where it would mention Winston Churchill. Then it says, man, it seems, fails to understand that purpose. All right, so again, more edits. These are capitalized or italics in the original, and they're not in the reprint. This whole subheading here, Mind Without Instinct, was cut from this one. Let's see where it goes. All right, right here, in those arrows, is where this subheading, Mind Without Instinct, should be. And then, for some reason, right here, and here they flipped the order of how Armstrong wrote. I mean, they really had no reason to do all these changes, but they did. All right, so let's show you how they flipped these things. The part underlined in black. But read with your own eyes in your own Bible. All right, now they flipped it. But read in your own Bible with your own eye. So notice they flipped the order. Armstrong says read with your own eyes in your own Bible. And they said, read with your own Bible with your own eyes. What really is the point of changing that? The next part where they flipped was this. Adam's creation was not completed. And they changed it to the creation of Adam was not completed. And again, small minute changes, but why even bother? And then this, the creation not complete, that was cut. Because see, notice that's not even here. And the changes are ridiculous. And it was very, what's the word I'm looking for? Laborious and boring, quite frankly, comparing the original with the reprint. I wouldn't use the word dread, but you just, what the heck, man? This was an error on my part. This actually carried over. But all these, it's lowercase in the original, lowercase, not italicized. Mr. Armstrong italicized and put things in capitals because he was emphasizing those. Those are all his reasons. And again, this blue part's cut, that part's cut, and this part's cut too, the cause of world evils. And the whole booklet goes on like this. Like, look at all these changes here from that to the original. So it's really disgusting. And this whole booklet is like that. Which makes me value even more that Herbert W. Armstrong Bible, the PDF Bible, or not Bible, but the PDF webpage where it's got all his books. Because again, all these things underlined in red do not line up with the reprint. And again, mainly it's taking capital words and making them lowercase, unitalicizing words, and again, and then these blue again were cut. The ecstasy of this vanity. It watered it down, and I'll tell you what, I bought this book along with 4 others from Amazon, and I will never order any more Mr. Armstrong books from Amazon.com. There was this one that I ordered that is a reprint, and you know it's a changed reprint because again, right here, original text by Herbert Armstrong, 1892 to 1986. And then the last booklet I did a hands-on video about, The Plain Truth About Christmas, I got that off of Amazon. Then I ordered a booklet about sex and marriage, and Amazon claimed Mr. Armstrong wrote it. I'd never seen that book before, but when I got it, it was written in 1991, and Armstrong died in 1986. So unless he's a ghostwriter and writes from beyond the grave, he did not write that book. Someone else at the Worldwide Church of God did. And the 4th book that hasn't came yet is the 1973 original The Lazarus and Rich Man booklet. That still hasn't come. It's running a week or so late. So again, that's one of the reasons I will never order from Amazon.com any more Herbert Armstrong books, because the 3 I got weren't genuine, and the one that I think is genuine still isn't here yet. So when it does come up, I'm going to not only do comparison videos like these are, but I'd like to just read a booklet through and explain to you what it's about while it's fresh in my spirit. So I don't really feel it's necessary to go through every page in the booklet because that would be a long, boring video, and you can get the hint of how much they changed all these things. It's ridiculous. So again, the Worldwide Church of God makes the Philadelphia church look like a bunch of choir boys. So that's this comparison hands-on video for this week. Stay tuned next week for more truth from Brave Warrior Productions.